There was a PDF shared in the Google Classroom.
Yes, are you talking about the notes?
Yes, the notes. Did you see that? Okay, even if you have not seen that, it's okay. We can continue. Can you see the slide?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you see me writing on the board?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yes, sir.
I mean, shall I increase the thickness, or is this thickness is okay?
So okay.
Okay, great. So we have in the last class what we have discussed is the diffraction. So I will just start it with once again. And remember, I am letting people join today after 10:30 just because I am assuming that they are confused whether the link is shared on WhatsApp or the link will be shared on Google Classroom. But those who are joining after 10:30, that shows that they are not attentive enough. You have a class at 10:30, so that doesn't mean that you should join at 10:30. 10:30 means the 10th class will start at 10:30. Just one more thing to tell you that this is a 45-minute class. I cannot waste 5-10 minutes just waiting for you to join. On the other hand, when I am writing on the board, it is difficult for me to let people join simultaneously because I have to switch back and forth. So that's not possible. Okay, so I'm just don't get it wrong that sir is allowing after 10:30 also, just for the sake that today there may be a confusion, which I assume that it should not be, but it's okay. Today I can manage that.
Sir,
Yes.
excuse me, sir. Sir, can you clear this out, sir? Exactly which classroom are you sharing the material, sir?
I am sharing in the L classroom, no?
Sir,
L section.
can
no?
you name the whole classroom? What have you
There is
named it?
combined section L, na? There is a
Yes,
Google Classroom. That is called combined section L. Are you not in the part? Are you not the part of that
Combined
class?
section L21 to 22. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
yes,
so-
yes.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Which is
sir, in
created
that-
by KS Oja, sir.
Yes. One
Yes,
more
sir.
thing is normally I don't change my link. This link will continue for the full semester.
Sir, there is a classroom I have joined, I think by mistake. Can you clear that? Sir, it's BTech 1 first semester. Sir, it's named
No, it's
first
not
semester.
that. No,
and
it's combined.
Sapan sir is there in that. So
But that is I section.
that is I section. Yes, sir.
That is I section. I mean, Sapan sir is teaching in I section as well as in some other section also. But L section is for us.
Yes, sir. So because in this section, I found some people who are above 90 roll numbers. So I thought.
Yes.
Ours.
So you are in
Maybe
which
about
section?
there.
You are in L section or I section?
L section. I'm in L section.
So I think you should leave the other section. This is the L section where your class will continue.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
And in this section, there are 3 teachers. One is Dr. K.S. Ojha, another is Dr.
So
Siddharth
it is a
Shetty,
humble
and-
request. Can you please change the name for the combined section to combined section physics or something?
I think that can be done. See, I am not the owner of this class, so I think I can request Ojha sir. You can request Ojha
Yes,
sir.
sir.
He
So
can change
because
it.
it is very confusing when you open the classrooms and there's no subject mentioned. So
Okay.
because
Oh,
everyone
yes,
everyone has been written as combined section and there's no subject.
Okay, I understand that. I understand. I mean, that is very much possible that you are confused. No problem. Okay. So you can request Ojha sir because he is the owner of this. Owner means the one who creates the class. We all are kind of an administrator in the class, but
Okay, sir.
we cannot change several things in this class. Okay. So you can request Ojha sir that he will change it to physics so that you don't have any confusion. Okay. Shall we start? We have
Yes, sir.
almost
Yes, sir.
10 minutes.
Yes, sir.
So the idea was that we have talked about. I mean, in the first class, I said that there were theories which were working very well under some approximation. For example, there was a theory of linear propagation or rectilinear propagation of light, where the light is traveling in the straight line, and that theory was quite good in terms of explaining the ray diagram for image formation by lens and mirror, and it was quite good to explain astronomical phenomena, for example the eclipses, because ultimately it was talking about the straight line propagation. But then people realize that when you have something like this, suppose you have a small opening over here, and when you assume that this opening So when you approximate that the light is traveling on a straight line, so this light will go like this and will go like this. So this portion will be the region of illumination. But what do you expect? What you see that there is some, I mean, ideally you realize that ideally you expect that here in the black region, are you able to see it properly, whatever I am writing?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So it was expected that here in this region and in this region there should be absolute shadow. That means there should not be any light at all. So this was good when you were talking about rectilinear propagation of light, but it was realized that this portion which was shown as dark in the image is not actually dark. What you see, a kind of a decreasing intensity in this direction, So here in this section, intensity is maximum, and then when you are going in this direction or when you are going in this direction, you see that intensity is decreasing on both sides. So this phenomena let people think that why this is happening. If the light is traveling in the straight line, this should not happen. This should not happen. So this phenomena was given the name as diffraction. So what is diffraction by definition? Diffraction is basically but before that, before we give the definition of diffraction, we should understand how this is possible, that in the region of absolute shadow or in the absolute shadow region we are seeing some light. So that is only possible when we leave that approximation that light is traveling in a straight line and it is kind of going something like this also. Then only we will be able to explain it. I also mentioned in the previous class that a theory may have limitation, but we can't just discard that theory by saying that this is not able to explain certain part. We cannot say that that theory is wrong. Within some approximation, the theory is kind of correct. You can think, you can understand that argument over here. And I gave in the last class, I gave an example about the relativity, that Newton's law of motion, we know that it works very well. But when you talk about the special theory of relativity, then you realize that Newtonian physics is not working, or Newtonian mechanics is not working when we are going in the velocity which are really very high or comparable to the velocity of light. But let me say it again, that doesn't mean that the Newton theory is wrong. The way we should say it, that the Newton theory is very well working for the low velocity limit. How can I say that? Because the velocity and the force formula which is there in the special theory of relativity, if you approximate it to a low velocity region, what you will find that it is giving you the same result as the Newtonian mechanics was giving you. So that says that, okay, look, the Newton theory is not wrong. It is just valid for a small region, which is possible. See, you know that if there is a four-wheeler, then you can keep on going with that four-wheeler by just putting a kind of petrol in that. But now we have the electric cars also, and we don't have many charging stations for electric cars. So there is a problem with electric cars right now, that because we don't have charging point and the charging time is really very high. That is why we prefer not to take electric vehicles. But certainly electric vehicles are the future. I'm just giving you one quick example that you can get the tank fill immediately and can continue your journey. Whereas if you have an electric vehicle, then you have to at least wait for 1 or 2 hours to get the vehicle charged. So that doesn't mean that the petrol vehicles are better than the electric car, or electric cars are not good at all. No, they both have, I mean, the petrol vehicle have a certain merits and demerit, and electric vehicle has a certain demerit right now. In future, I'm pretty sure that the electric vehicle will replace all the petrol vehicle, because that is what I see as future. Okay, so here when we say that the light is traveling in the straight line, but we see some intensity in the shadow region also, that means the rectilinear propagation of light is wrong. The answer is no. The thing is, in the region where the brightness is high and in the region where the shadow is there, what happens, because in the main region, which is the center part, in this the intensity is so high, in this region the intensity is so high that we can't actually able to see the intensity in the shadow region. It was always there, but we were not able to see that. So rectilinear propagation seems to work because most of the intensity is kind of contained in that region. Okay? Okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is now,
Yes,
now
sir.
we can
Yes, sir.
actually, now we are adding one more thing, and one is that rectilinear propagation plus some bending. So that bending part is called the diffraction. So light rays, or I mean normally any rays, they get bent at the corner or at the edges, which are of the size. So suppose you have this, we will derive this derivation later. Suppose this is the aperture D and there is a wavelength lambda. So this diffraction, this bending will only happen when lambda is comparable of the order of the aperture size. If aperture is bigger than the wavelength, then diffraction will not happen. So what happened when you talk about lenses and mirror, most of the time, or when you are seeing the shadow of something forming, you don't able to kind of bending is always happening there because the corners are kind of very sharp. If the corners are thick, then bending will not happen. That's the point. Okay. Okay, so this was the deflection. Definition of diffraction is that it is basically the bending of light rays. We are talking about diffraction in light. That is why I am saying bending of light rays. So bending of light rays at the corners. Okay, there are some examples that which are kind of what we have just seen. That here, if I see this region is basically the door, and this is the corner. You see that in this direction the intensity is kind of decreasing. Can you see this image here? When
Yes.
you go
Yes,
away
sir.
from the edges of the door, you see intensity decreasing. Whereas if you see the corner of the blade, you see some kind of a blurriness. Similar blurriness you see when suppose there is a mountain and there it is basically covered with the ice. If you see the sunrise at the mountain, what you will find that at the time of the sunrise, this portion is really very bright. Have you noticed that? I mean, in any picture,
Yes, sir.
if there is a mountain which is covered or may not be covered with the ice, then at the time of sunrise you will see that this portion is really very much bright. It seems that there is some kind of a light source over there. So this happens because most of the lights are getting bent over there and they are kind of combining together. Okay, and then there is an example of disc. What happened when the white light falls on this disc actually have small groups. If you see CD closely, what you will find, there are concentric circles which are kind of very close. Have you noticed that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
that those small corners, they are very small, and light can get bent from there. What you see here, a different color because it's a white light which is having 7 colors. So all the 7 colors are kind of getting bent and then combined together. You should notice that I am saying combined together. I have not said anything about what is this combination called. I'm just saying they are combined together. The technical term I will introduce little bit later, because at the starting of the course it is not a good idea to introduce heavy terms. Okay, we will develop. So these are some examples which we see in our daily life. But something I should mention over here, that we have in our course, in our previous course, we have talked about the superposition. That is what it says, that if there are two waves going like this, okay, let me draw it with some another color. If there are two waves are going like this, then the principle of superposition says that if this green color, so this will form a new wave, and what that will be, the new wave, displacement of new wave will be given by the displacement of the red wave plus the displacement by the green wave. What does it mean? What it says that if two waves are traveling in space, and when they meet at one point, what happened that at the point of meeting, they produce a combined disturbance. Because why I'm calling it disturbance? Because wave is basically a disturbance. So when green wave was going, it was producing some disturbance, let's say green y2, and when the red wave was going, it was producing a wave which is y1, which is shown by red. And after combining, at that point, it will produce some kind of pattern. That will be decided by the individual sum of green and red. So you can understand this example in terms of, I can explain this in many ways. So overall idea is after that point where they were meeting, they will continue like they don't know each other. Okay, but at the point of meeting, their net effect will be this. So what does it mean? I will explain it further. Suppose when the red wave was passing through that point where they are meeting, individually, it was producing a diffraction. It was producing a displacement y1. When the green wave was traveling at that path without having red wave, then it was producing a wave displacement as y2. So when they are combined together, when they are passing at that point simultaneously, the displacement or the disturbance produced at that point will be the sum of disturbance produced by red wave plus the disturbance produced by the green wave. That is what is called the superposition. Now there are a special condition in this. What will happen if their phase is this? What will happen if their phase is that? Okay. So we know that there are three formula. One is called the phase difference, which is basically phase difference 2 pi by lambda delta x. This is basically the relation between the path difference and the phase difference. And we have one more relation which is called 2 pi by t into delta t. This is the path difference between, this is the phase difference between, or this is the relation between the phase difference and the time difference. Okay, what does it mean? The first, if there are two waves and they are separated by distance x, having the same wavelength lambda, then their phase difference will be 2 pi by lambda into delta x. Whereas if there are two waves which are separated by time, let's say delta t, what does it mean? That means if one wave has started at time t equal to 0 and another wave has started at time t equal to t, so then the difference between those two waves will be delta t equal to t minus 0, that is t. So the phase difference between that will be delta phi. You know, they are actually same thing. They are not two different things, but they are said in two different aspects. One is in distance aspect and one is in time aspect. That is the point. Okay, but they are same thing. The another thing we know that from the interference theory, that the intensity will be given by I1 I2 plus 2 I1 I2 cos phi, cos delta phi. So delta phi will decide whether the intensity is minimum or maximum. One more thing you can notice, that if delta phi is even multiple, I mean if it is delta phi, if it is plus pi, sorry, 0, 2 pi, 4 pi, then intensity will be maximum. If delta phi is pi plus minus, so plus minus 3 pi, then I will be minimum. So this is all what we have learned from the theory of interference. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
One thing I have not said anything over here, because that is coherence. I have not said anything about coherence. So what are coherent sources? Those light source or those sources which have same frequency, same wavelength, and they have same they bear a constant path difference, they are called the coherent sources. Okay. Then in coherent sources, there are two types of coherent sources. One is spatial coherent sources, one is the temporal coherent sources. So if you consider two separate points in space and notice their phase difference at some particular time. Okay. And if those points bears a constant difference of phase, then we call it as a constant, as a spatially coherent sources. But if you consider one point and see how that the phase at that point is changing with time, that is what is called as the temporal coherence. Okay, so we have, I mean, the basic idea when it started that we have to, I mean, this was the introduction about diffraction. So before we start the theory of diffraction, we should understand how the light waves are traveling. We have just explained that, we have just recalled what we have learned previously. So the theory of diffraction or theory of interference required some kind of a phenomena through which the wave can travel. So that explanation that was given by Huygens, and it's called Huygens principle. In this, they say that each point on the wavefront becomes, before that, I mean, in the last class I have also explained what is wavefront. I will explain it once again. Suppose there is a imaginary plane like this, and you consider some particle on it like this. You consider some particle on it. I gave one example where there were some rice particles and they were on the membrane of a drum. When the drum was hit with a stick, it was found that all the particles are going up and down simultaneously. I mean, they were moving in the same phase. So if this particle is going up, then at that same moment this particle will also be going up, or any other particle will be going up. If this particle is going down, then at that time all particle will be going down. Okay, so this imaginary plane is called the wavefront. So if you say what is the definition of wavefront? Wavefront is an imaginary plane where all the particles are moving in same phase or having same phase of motion. Okay, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now it
Yes.
says that each point on the wavefront becomes a source of secondary disturbance and send wavelet which travel with the same speed at the original direction. So what happened? This was the wavefront. If this wavefront is oscillating at some frequency, then these particles will also start oscillating with the same frequency, and then they will start sending wave in the another. So it's like postman. So you basically posted a letter in your nearby post office. That letter will go to the another post office, then will go to the another post office, and finally the postman will bring it to that person. So everyone is doing kind of similar work. They are moving the letter in one direction. What is that direction? That direction is the direction where your address is given. Okay. Now, if you want to know the new position of the wavefront, then what you have to do is you have to basically draw a tangent on tangent envelope, and that will give you the new position of the wavefront. Okay. In that, what happened? So I was in the last class I explained how the wavefront will look like for a point source. So suppose there is a point source over here. What will happen? From point source, light ray will move in all the direction, and we don't have a reason to say that light will be traveling with more speed in one direction and less speed in one direction, because we know the speed of light is same in the free space. So if the source is there, all this distance will be equal to Ct. That means I can assume this as a distance r. So here, because this is a two-dimensional plane, I can only show you this projected. But if you see it in the back side also, what you will find that it will actually forming a sphere. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this will form a kind of a sphere. So we can say that the wavefront from the point source is basically a spherical wavefront. You can understand here why this is a wavefront. You have to understand, and I have to explain that also. Okay, you know that all these distance, this one, they all are r distance. Okay, now you know that the phase difference was 2 pi upon lambda into delta x. If you assume delta x is equal to r, then all these waves which have started from this center position, they have traveled a distance ct. Because they have traveled the distance, in the beginning they had same phase difference. But when they have traveled a distance r, that means their phase has changed from 0 to, or whatever phase it had, now the original phase is delta, the phase change is delta phi. But that phase change have occurred for all the points on the spherical surface. That means all the points on the spherical surface will be oscillating with the same frequency. That means this is a spherical wavefront, or I should say this is a wavefront. But because this is in spherical form, we are calling it a spherical wavefront. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
अरे क्या हो गया? Okay. Now, if we have a extended source, just think we have a extended source. Extended source means, let us say there is a tube light. Now, what will happen? Because there is an extended source, the light rays will going here, 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 here. It will be going in like this, and they all will be traveling a distance ct. Similarly, the way light rays will be going like this from the bottom part of the source. So if you consider, this will form basically a kind of a cylinder, because the light rays are coming from everywhere. So that is why we say the light source, the wavefront from the extended source is basically an extended or cylindrical wavefront. Is that right? Did you get it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now if you see this wavefront for a very far distance, let's say you are going for an infinite distance, then what will happen? This wavefront which you are seeing here, this will become something like this. This will become something like this. So you will be seeing a very small part of it. So you will assume that this wavefront is a plane wavefront. Okay? Because when the radius will increase, the curvature will decrease. You know that, na? When radius increases, then when radius is increasing, curvature is decreasing. Do you know that?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
that is why if you see an extended wavefront, whether spherical or cylindrical, you will see it as a plane wavefront. So for diffraction theory, normally we assume that the wavefronts are kind of plane wavefront. If they are not, we can create them. How can we create a plane wavefront? Suppose you have a point source and you want to create a plane wavefront. What you can do, you can use a lens of larger focal length, and you keep the source at the focus of that lens. So after the light rays which are coming from the point source, after traveling through the lens, it will become parallel to the principal axis.
Infinite.
है ना? So then it will become a kind of a parallel wavefront. Okay? Okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that we will be, yeah. So now there are two kinds of diffraction. One is called Fresnel diffraction, one is called the Fraunhofer diffraction. In Fresnel diffraction, what happened? This is a quick definition, and this is good from the point of view of objective question, that what is the difference between Fresnel and Fraunhofer diffraction. So in Fresnel diffraction, what happened? Remember this, that both the screen and the source are at finite distance. This is the thing. And here, if you see that the source and both are at the infinite distance, you can say, sir, no, this is wrong. You are showing me something else and telling something else. This is said in terms of infinite because the wavefront which is reaching here is kind of a parallel wavefront. That is why it is said that this is a infinite distance, because we assume that the plane wavefront can come from infinity only. Okay? But here also, if you don't put this lens over here, then these rays will continue to infinity and they will never meet. In order that concept is shown over here also. That is why it is called they are at the infinite distance from the screen. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So obviously, in this case, no lens is used. So in this case, lens is used because that is the only way you can converge a source, converge a wavefront coming from infinity. Otherwise, you can't converge it.
So, sir, here in
Okay.
front of the diffraction, both the source and the screen are at infinite distance.
Yes.
Okay.
And that is basically conceived by using some lens. Ideally, you know, if the source is kept at the infinity, what you will, I mean, it happens. It's not, this is wrong. For example, if you look at a star through a telescope, that is basically kind of a Fraunhofer diffraction. Don't you agree with that? Are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes. So that's the thing. So basically, we are saying it as a Fraunhofer, or we are saying that it is at a far distance. Why mean we what that mean? That means that the wavefront is kind of a parallel plane wavefront. That's the point. It doesn't actually mean that they are kept at this infinite distance. But if you see the implication of having a plane wavefront, that means plane wavefront can only come from infinity. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Sir, here how we can say that screen is in infinite distance?
Because the wavefront is parallel. Wavefront is plane. You know, plane wavefront can only come from infinity distance.
Sir, so source will
Okay,
be
let
at
me
infinity, but screen.
explain it further. I am saying that Fraunhofer diffraction is the one in which the both
Pardon me, sir, your voice is not coming.
Hello, sir.
Is it
Voice
audible?
not coming, sir. So not audible.
Everyone is audible. Everyone is audible.
Sir has left the class.
No, he has stopped sharing his screen, not left the class.
Stop sharing.
No, he left the class.
He did actually left. It's only 7 minutes left for the whole class.
hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
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 sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So this whole idea is from the point of view of whether we have a plane wavefront or not. Okay, if you are having a plane wavefront without lens also, that will call as a Fraunhofer diffraction. But if you don't have it, we can produce it. So overall idea is we have a plane wavefront.
Sir,
Yes.
the plane we can get plane parallel beam also.
That's true. But same, you should have a coherent source also, no? I mean, you should have a source. I mean, you cannot have 10 light sources. Parallel beam is fine. If you have
Diffraction
a
works well. Diffraction works well in both Fresnel and Fraunhofer diffraction.
yeah, I mean they are different form. I mean, and the pattern which will be formed will be different, little bit different. It will not be exactly same. Yeah, because you can understand that. I mean that is
Yes,
very
doubt.
easy to understand. Just let me answer that question. Who asked that question? That
Sir, me.
Fraunhofer. On, tell me the name.
Sajal.
Sajal, yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah, Sajal. Sajal, that was a very good question. I'm very happy to hear that question. But I really want to answer that question. See, here if you see the Fresnel diffraction, you see in the beginning, the light rays are having some.
Sir, your voice is not coming.
So you're not audible.
Pardon me, sir, you are not audible.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I was saying that I would like to answer that question first, then we will move on. See, if you see here that in the beginning there was a point source and the light rays were traveling different distances. And after the diffraction, they are having a path difference because of two reasons. One is because they are getting bent, and the second is they are actually having some other path difference. So that is why the pattern which will be formed will be different. Whereas here, all the waves which are coming, they are kind of parallel. So there will be no extra path added. Now you will say, sir, if there is an extra path added, what will happen to that? I mean, that will just shift the diffraction pattern, right? But if that phase difference is constant, then only it will shift the pattern by some amount. But if the path difference is not constant, then the pattern itself will be different. Are you getting my point, Sajal? All of you are getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
you
sir.
will certainly find the diffraction. What does it mean that? It means that there will be some bending of light, and because of that, there will be some pattern. But that pattern will not be same. Okay?
Okay,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, so very good question, Sajal. And there was someone else who was asking question.
So,
Sir,
so
Yeah, Vasudev.
yes, sir.
Yeah, just a minute, Srishti.
So my doubt was that if we consider sun, and that is we are considering a source, but which is at infinity, and then the rays which are coming towards us means we are the observer, and they are at us. The big rays. I mean, since we are at infinity, the rays will be very much have a divided distance between them. So we can call them coherent sources or not?
No, actually, by the time they will reach to Earth, they will lose the coherence. So there is a distance up to which the light rays become coherent, remains coherent. So you can't call them as
It has a
coherent
distance
sources.
dependent. It has a distance dependent factor too, right?
Yes, yes, right. But suppose if you are taking a hole, if you are creating a hole, on that hole, your light rays are falling. I mean, the sun rays are falling. So then that source will behave as a new source. That hole will behave as a new source, and all the light rays coming from that source, that hole will be coherent now. But again, those rays which are coming from that hole will be coherent only up to certain distance. After that distance, they may will become incoherent, or they may become partially coherent.
That means the gap should be very narrow.
Yes. So
Okay,
I mean,
thank
if I right now I'm not teaching you this thing interference part, but I can tell you the reference. You should go and look at the Optics by Ghatak. There is a book of like optics. There is a book called Optics by Ajoy Ghatak. Have you heard of him? He's a professor.
No,
He
not
was a
yet.
professor at Delhi, and this is fourth edition. So in this book, it is actually told that up to what scale size a source will remain coherent. So for example, if you remember the width of the fringe from the interference pattern, it was like this. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. This formula.
Yes, sir.
Now, this says if D goes to ये उल्टा लिख दिया मैंने शायद. Is it? What is the formula for fringe width?
Just right, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
It was right.
Yeah.
Lambda
this-
capital D upon small d.
Yeah. Okay. It says that if you keep on increasing the d, then beta will become narrow. That is what it says. But it does not say anything that whether the what it says that okay, even if you keep on increasing the small d up to a large distance, then the beta, the fringe will be formed and the fringe will become narrow and narrow and narrow. But ideally, this is not correct. Why this is not correct? Because there is a limit on d up to which this will produce interference. After that, it will stop producing interference. For example, if you have a window at your home, in that window there are some rods or some openings are there, but you don't see interference. The reason is that you don't see interference is that because that distance is basically much farther than the limit. If you remember the numerical, the d was of the order of 1 meter, whereas small d was of the order of 10 to the power minus 3 meter. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if you keep on increasing, then interference pattern will vanish. And why it will vanish? Because if you keep on increasing the size of the slate, or if you keep on increasing the distance between two slates, then at some point of time, they will become incoherent. I can tell you like this. Suppose, if you remember the interference experiment, there were something like this. Is it correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now what was happening? So we were assuming that there is a point source over here, and from that point source, the wavefront is coming like this. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we were saying that
Yes, sir.
these 2 points are the part of same wavefront, and that is why we are calling them as coherent. But if you keep on increasing in this direction, then let us say we have something like this. We have a very bigger wavefront. Now the bigger wavefront, what will happen? These 2 points may not be completely coherent, and that is why we will lose the interference pattern. Now I can give you one quick example to tell you how this happens. Suppose there is a friend of yours who lived close to your home, and you have been studying together since your nursery class. So every day you will be meeting and discussing, eating and fighting, studying everything together. Then in your 6th class, you move to 2 different schools. But still, because the school syllabus is same, you are meeting in coaching or something like that. Then you move, then now you have passed your +2, and now someone is in NIT, someone is in IIT, and someone has gone abroad. So what will happen? You are still friend, but the communication between 2 of you has reduced. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
This
sir.
this communication is basically the coherence. So when you are close by, when you are meeting every day, their communication is very, very strong. You are friend. So that means I'm saying, though there are 2 sources, they are still sources, and their communication is strong. So we call them as a highly coherent sources. When the distance between them is increased. So what do I mean by saying that one has moved to another school and you moved to another school? I mean to say the distance has increased between you. So don't take my things, I mean, literally, but this is a quite good example to understand what does it mean by coherence. Coherence means communication between 2 point sources. What do you mean by that? It means one source, whatever one source is doing, it is telling another source, hey, look, I am doing this. You have to be careful. Understood? But on the other hand, if there is a student who is in another school, you don't have any communication. That's all. I mean, it's okay. There is no communication, so there is no coherence. So if you have moved to IIT and another one moved to NIT or vice versa, you still are friend. So that means sources are there. You still have a communication, but that communication is very weak. At least once in a year, you are wishing him or her a happy birthday or whatever. So there is a communication. So there is still some coherence left. But what happened after that? I mean, one of you got married. Then because the another person is involved in the family affairs, so he or she may not be able to contact you. So then communication is lost. And because communication is lost, we say that that coherence is gone. Are you getting my point?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is exactly happens in case of coherence of two sources. Ideally, we think that it doesn't matter. I mean, finally, it is the part of the same wavefront which is coming from a very distant source. So they should be in coherence. They should be always coherent. The answer is no. There can be three situations: highly coherent, partially coherent, and then there is not coherent. Okay? So this was the case of your childhood. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Sir,
You said that
question.
no, sir. You said that the light waves lose their property of coherence. This would happen due to air resistance, or would this happen in vacuum too?
No, this will happen naturally, because once they will go, I mean, once they are close to the source, because the disturbance is not enough. We are talking about light waves. You remember, we are talking about light waves,
Yes, sir.
and light waves are electromagnetic
Sir.
waves. Wait a minute. Viraj, wait a minute. Who was asking this question? This
Sir, me.
Vivek, hai na?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Vivek. Yeah, Viraj, wait for a while and let me answer Vivek's question. So what happened, we are talking about electromagnetic waves. Electromagnetic waves are light waves and they travel in vacuum also. So there is no question of
Losing coherence due to air resistance. Yes, sir.
resistance. Yeah.
Yes.
That was a very good question. But I would say that if you have thought about it, you would get the answer. But anyway, it was a good question. Thank you for that. Okay, Viraj, tell me.
Sir, there are specific cases in what we if we see that, and the study we are going to do that for diffraction, sir, it will be suitable that our sources are highly coherent. Sir, I'm not able to understand the exact phenomena. What happens if they are not coherent exactly? So can you explain that bit again?
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you see the example, what happened that this source was there. So if the light rays has traveled some distance from here to here, if the light rays has traveled a distance from here to here, that distance will be equal. So ideally, the light rays which are reaching here, they are kind of coherent only, because they have traveled equal distance. Then again, they are traveling equal distance up to here. So up to this point, there was no problem with their coherence. They were in the same phase. But when they're traveling, one is traveling this way, one is traveling this way. So there is a path difference. So now after this, the wavefront will start deviating from the path difference. Now let me take a question. If there the source from where the light rays are originating is not coherent, so single source cannot be said as coherent or incoherent. When you talk about coherency or incoherency, it has to be more than two, or it has to be at least more than one. So you can talk about the coherence of this wave and coherence of this wave. But if there is only one source, you cannot say whether this is coherent or not.
Yes, sir.
Is that the answer to your question, Viraj?
Sir, so if we take two sources and then we are able to compare the coherency.
Yes, certainly. Suppose you have two laser light.
Yes, sir.
So one laser light, you have learned that laser light is highly coherent.
Yes, sir.
So there is there are two schools. So where are you from, Viraj, by the way?
Sir, Lucknow.
Lucknow, great. So there are, let us say, Lamartiniere and this one, Colvin School, na?
Yes, Colvin. Yes, sir.
Have you heard of them?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So there is one student who is very intelligent. That one is Lamartiniere, and one other one is CMS, let us say. Okay. So the both are highly intelligent student. That means they both are kind of coherent. Coherent in the sense they are focused toward their study.
Yes, sir.
But it is necessary that they should be communicating to each other?
No, sir.
Exactly. So there is a light source, laser, which is highly coherent. Another light laser, which is also highly coherent. But because they are not talking to each other, so we say that they are incoherent too. Understood? Now you can ask, sir, just now you have said we cannot talk about single source which is coherent. Then why are you saying a laser is a highly coherent source?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because laser is not one beam. There are 100,000, 10,000 photons are coming, and the photons are in some. They are all are in phase.
So what
That
is
is
why
why.
that they're not able to commute to each other? Sir, I
And
am
because
talking about,
yeah, you are right. You are right. See, what does it mean? Suppose this source has produced a wave in this pattern,
yes, sir.
and there is another source which has produced a wave in this pattern. Let us say,
Yes, sir.
if this source is telling this another source, ki look, I am producing a wave in the down direction, and you are producing in the wave, then there is a communication. So they can fix their thing. Okay, that person is doing this and I am doing this, so there is a fixed real phase relation between them. But suppose in the beginning this has produced this, but in the next case this is called vitriol, and we do that. हमारे दो दोस्त रहते हैं तो वो बोलते हैं अच्छा मैं तो I will not study this chapter, and then in the examination when the question comes he will do it well, and then later on he will tell ki look, I have studied that chapter in the last stage. Okay, so what happened? Let me talk in terms of physics. So in the beginning, this was telling this that okay, I am producing a wave in the top part, and he said that I am producing a wave in the bottom part. But in the next time, they decided ki no, I don't want to tell you what I am doing. So he will be producing in some random manner, and he will be producing in random manner. So the communication is lost. And once their phase difference is lost or communication, so they don't know whether the phase is changing continuously or it is constant or what. That is what is meaning the coherence or the communication. Okay.
So if the sources, for example, the lasers we have taken are not able to commute to each other, and they are coherent by their own because they are producing much rays together. So those rays,
those waves are coherent. Yeah. Those rays are in
those
phase.
lasers are not coherent. For example, if you place one laser in a different with some different intensity, different frequency, and another with of the lens, then they are not coherent with respect to each other. And then if the interference is produced, that is not like what will happen then if they are not.
It will produce. See what will you do? Suppose there is a laser light. So you are basically these beams which are coming. They are not single beam. There are photons, and they all are in same phase. So these photons basically produce interference. You remember in Young's double slit interference, the total intensity was 4I0. You remember that?
Yes, sir. 4I0.
Oh, let us talk about the maximum one.
Yes.
Like, can I write it like this? 2 square I0.
Yes, sir.
You remember how many sources were there in the Young double slit experiment?
2.
So that means it becomes 2 square. Suppose there are n sources, so it will become n square. Okay. So here, if there are n photons, and they all are in same phase, can you see that I have drawn them actually similar?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Suppose there are 10,000 photons.
So what
So
I'm
this
actually
10,000, they all are in phase.
So what I'm actually trying to answer this is like this question: what is it anywhere? What condition you require to see the diffraction effective prominently? If this question changes to what conditions will not produce a prominent diffraction, then won't this case be there that if the sources are not coherent? But you are saying that if the both lasers are not coherent, still they have the diffraction. So that is what I'm asking.
No, they will produce diffraction individually.
Individually, yes, sir.
Because
together they won't now because they are not coherent with respect to each other.
Yes. Together they won't produce interference.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Srishti was also asking question. That will be last question because you may have another class. Do you have another class?
Yes, sir.
So,
So can we take Srishti's question or we can take it later?
So we can take it.
But I don't want you. Yeah. No, I have taken that. I'm sorry for that. The thing is, I don't want you to say that Johari sir was taking my class. That is why we are late. I don't want you to say that. Also, I can take the question later on.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So send me the attendance. Thank you very much for the class.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
sir.
Once again, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.